During Trump's campaign, he talked a lot about how he was going to deport 2 million illegal immigrants back to Mexico. He compared this to Eisenhower's 1954 plan, Operation Wetback, which consisted in kind of the same thing. Trump stated,
"Moved 1.5 million illegal immigrants out of this country. Moved them just beyond the border, they came back. Moved them again beyond the border, they came back. Didn't like it. Moved them way south, they never came back."
Of course, this is not true, because in 1961, during Adolfo López Mateos' term, it was reported that 20% of the deportees from the United States had actually been deported when Operation Wetback was in action in 1954. The conditions in which the deportees were treated were completely inhumane. They were left in the border with no food, no sanitary conditions, and most of the time they died. It deported 150,000 braceros back to Mexico, who were actually legal workers in the United States. During the beginning of John F. Kennedy's administration, it was clear that he was not very sympathetic to the Braceros program. In 1961, he signed a law that guaranteed the same benefits of the Bracero program to American workers. John F. Kennedy responded, "I am aware of the serious impact in Mexico if many thousands of workers employed in this country were summarily deprived of this much-needed employment." However, he signed it, and the employment rates went down. John F. Kennedy's campaign had a great support from the Mexican-American community, and that's what helped him to win. On 1961, John F. Kennedy launched the program Alliance of Progress in front of 200 Latin American diplomats. He described the program as a vast cooperative effort unparalleled in magnitude and ability of purpose to satisfy the basic needs of the Latin American people for homes, work and land, health and schools, techo, trabajo y tierra, salud y escuela.
I think the only thing Lyndon and Trump have in common is their obsession with Mexico. The difference is behind their intentions. One had the dream of becoming López Mateos' best friend, and the other one wants to literally eliminate Mexico from the face of Earth. He was the vice president during Kennedy's period, but then Kennedy was murdered, so he became the president of the United States in 1963. Since he was a Democrat, thank the Lord, he wanted to continue JFK's goodwill presidency and focus on the well-being of the people rather than the economy itself. López Mateos was a Mexican president, and he was almost going to finish his term, but that didn't slow down Lyndon into creating a good friendship with him. Lyndon, being a Texan, he always felt connected to Mexico and knew the real problems the Mexican-American community was facing and did his best to solve them. Even the Secretary of State, Dean Rusk, claimed that the international relationship he cared the most was Mexico. Lyndon's first treaty as president was with Mexico about the Chasimal. Chamizal was a 360-feet square line in the boundary of both countries, and since 1933 neither of them knew who owned it. Until President Lyndon, which willingly gave it to the Mexicans. That was the only treaty, besides the Braceros thingy, that was signed by President López Mateos and Lyndon, since the first one mentioned was only 2 years away from finishing his term. And even that little time, López Mateos said that the USA-Mexico relationship had never been better. And well, what can we say now? Since the beginning of Donald Trump's campaign, he has stated things that have hurted the Mexican community. First of all,
when Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
And
I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words.
During the elections, Trump visited Peña Nieto, Mexico's actual president. Some people took it in a humiliating way, since Peña Nieto acted in a submissive way. Most people thought he was only bluffing about the wall and maybe other stuff, but actually one of his first statements as president was that the wall plan is still on, and that Mexico is gonna pay for it, even though the Mexican government states otherwise. But let's face it, we're gonna end up paying it if he truly cancels all the current visas and makes us get a new one, and also with the so-called tax raising on the imports of Mexican products to the United States, like avocado.
We can say that while López Mateos' relationship with the United States was much more pacific and diplomatic, there was still a less hardcore tension between the US and Mexico, and it was probably the era that began this whole immigrational crisis between these two countries. In a way, we can say that Eisenhower is kind of similar to Trump, just less stupid, obviously. But he had a good relationship with Adolfo López Mateos. Then we have John F. Kennedy that, Despite ending the 90-year-old Chamizal dispute, he also ended the Braceros program, which gave, legal jobs to Mexican families. What we can say from this is that the United States became an unwelcoming place for Mexicans. With Eisenhower beginning the Operation Wetback, he began the fear against illegal Mexican immigrants that has now resulted in the bigoted man that we call Trump.